So now when I reflect on all the things that are frustrating me this year, is the fact that so many people are coming into these workshops looking for quick answers to problems that relate to the topic. But ultimately, they're also they have so many other problems going on that really I'm just one channel of information or potential support. But even when I'm teaching them, which might be able to help in the moment, gets crowded out by everything else they need to get done. And at the end of it, I'm just really losing confidence that people are learning and that it's really contributing to their overall growth. And I don't know about you, Jennifer, but I mean, you've been delivering a lot of courses as well. We're delivering courses together. Attendance is spotty, and then people want to catch up with a quick problem. And this is just an opportunity to decompress. So, that's what I'm experiencing right now. How are things going for you?
Yeah, I would agree with you that fewer people have signed up for workshops. I think they're full. They're just at their limit, and they also I think come to a PD for filling a need that they can't fill within the number of minutes that PD happens. They have to trust that it's a journey. They have to trust that it's not just a one-time thing, that you've got to build relationship, that you've got to marinate and percolate with ideas. And they just don't see that they have bandwidth for it. And yet, if they don't start building that community and building a place where they can talk with people and find a tribe, they're going to feel even more isolated. So it's sort of like a catch-22. You got to put in order to get out, but it's just, they're like, I don't know if I've got time for that. And that's why I think that the professional development needs to be, you have to pitch it. You have to say, this is not going to meet your need right now. We're going to give you a couple things that are going to meet you right now, but then this is a long marathon of developing yourself. And so stay with us as you can.
Yeah.
So that's what's the deal.
Here's another gripe, and something that we shared about is we get calls from heads of school or principals, and they're saying, look, this difficult conversations topic, or setting goals, or something related to leadership development. These guys really need it. They're struggling, and they're looking at you in terms of just come in and do what you do, right? Without even having any understanding about it. And I think the thing that frustrates me most is I get this request and I understand it, and it is needed. There's definitely a need. But they're just looking at it as, a check the box. They themselves see it as a need for others, but not for themselves. They want to call you in, but they don't want to participate.
Yes.
How do we deal with them?
I think, yeah, exactly. I think that one of the things that we could do is say, as a part of our work, we require a pre-planning session. And that is something that could help us really get on the same page to be even more helpful. This isn't going to be a give me a YouTube video that I can show, or just one article that they can read. I need to understand where this comes in context, and that will help me. So we have to go slow for a minute to go fast. Then as I'm in that conversation, they start to uncover the complexity and depth of the problem. The issue at that point is to not be subsumed or swept or go, oh no, it's really much harder than I thought. I can't handle you. You're going to ask me for the moon, the sun, the stars. This is going to take all year. I don't have that. I think just for them to understand the depth that it's at, and then say, well, then let's just back up the truck, and I can honestly share with you, this can be what's doable, so that they see the bigger picture, but see a possible solution. And it's usually not, can you come in for 45 minutes and do the entire thing after school, where people are hypoglycemic, they want to get on their bus, and that you think you can check the box. It's most likely not going to be that, because that is, I taught it. That doesn't mean anybody learned it. And we know better in instruction than that.
this pre-session that you're talking about, I think is absolutely gold, because when I reflect on some of the conversations I'm having before an intervention, if you will, or course, it's, you know, I'm hearing lots of assumptions that these senior leaders are making about their middle leaders or about whoever the training is for the staff. Loads of assumptions. And it's, you know, what I want to do is I want to drag them in. I try to test those assumptions with them, but testing the assumption with the person that's actually, you know, you don't have enough background about that school or that culture, it does require a few other stakeholders to come into the conversation. So you get that pre-conversation call and say, all right, say, hey, John, so you want to do this training, your teachers are drowning. You really feel they could use this class, and it has to happen in an hour and a half on this particular day, because that's how learning happens. So tell you what, hey, let's have a call before that with 2 or 3 of the prospective participants, and let's test some of the assumptions you're making. And you know, put them right in there, because if there's anything I've learned, one of these theories that I really get into is this ladder of inference, about how we go through life with so many untested assumptions. Because senior leaders aren't really, they're hearing the gripes, they're feeling the stress, but they're not really having the conversations with the people that matter to be able to pinpoint and identify what they really need. And you'd be surprised the number of times in the last 3 months where it hasn't been training what was needed. It was just a conversation with senior leadership. Now I might have lost some work by having that 1 hour pre-conversation call, but I tell you what,
you did the right work. You did the right work.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to step into a room where a third or a half of the people, they don't want to be there. They don't want to be there between 3:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. Because it just, you know, matches that need. So I don't know. What are some of the conversations you're having around that as well?
I have been having conversations in the United States. The hybrid learning is a piece. There's also a very, very strong conversation, not just about the technology and hybrid learning and instruction in a virtual way, but the issue that we're reckoning with, that I think many countries are reckoning with, around systemic racism. And people are starting to say, we can't give a pass to this. We have like a mandate from on high, like this has really become a moral imperative that we're seeing in everywhere, in, you know, and we want to address this. So let's just address this. Now, this is a 400-year-old conversation since slavery and the beginning, before my country was, whatever, and, created. And it's a huge conversation that goes with a lot of history and a lot of contextual situations that need to happen, and conversations and things. And it's like, you can't do that in an hour and a half. So the question is, what can you do? So they say, can you come in? We've got some money that's COVID money, and we've got a couple hours that we could try to do something. It has to be done before December 16th. What do you think you can do? And I go, we're going to back up the truck. Beep, 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 beep. We're going to back up the truck. And we're going to say, is anybody even able to talk to each other about anything? Have you talked to each other lately? Or are you in your homes and you're doing your work and you're just trying to get by? Let's reintroduce each other. And the goals of this, and the goals and the mission of this system. And then let's try to live up to that and remember. And then we're going to add, it's like now we can add a little bit of content and more context. And you can't just decide to throw a bunch of things in and then bake it. It's not possible. And it sure as heck isn't possible with what deep thinking we need to be doing around many topics. So that's what I've been doing. Back the truck up I almost want to do the workshop. Back the truck up.
So now this is kind of a beautiful thing about the position we're in, because schools would probably spend equally, proportionally, 1/3 to 50% of what they're paying for us is going to be travel and vacations and all this, and they want to cram it into 2 days, and they want to throw 100 people in there and get, they want to get the most bang for the buck as possible. Mm-hmm. But now imagine this, I think virtual has been phenomenally effective. I think it's allowed us to really spread out the learning, to allow for other types of engagements in between. We talk about this ultimate goal of, hey, we need to talk about race. This is something that's really kind of getting to the heart of our society and our culture, or the election, geopolitics, COVID. student learning, attainment. Parents are, oh, if my kid's not in a classroom, they're not learning, they're not going to Harvard. All right, I know you want to have that conversation, but you're just not ready to have it yet. What we can do, let's spread out the learning. Let's make that the goal. The conversation at the end of this is going to be to have that conversation. What do we need to do before that conversation?
That's right.
And now, if I'm right, you're writing a book at this very moment that really talks to the heart of this kind of matter. Can you give us a little bit of a, a bit of preview?
Yes, I am writing a book about that's called Growing Up in the Workplace, and being on your learning edge is the subtitle. I think that we have to really understand that we as adults are a part of a learning organization, not for the students, just for the students, although that is the main goal. But in service to that, we need to develop ourselves, and we need to understand where we're coming from, not with regard to our child development understanding or our content, but just how do we work together to be in service of them as a system. Know your identity. Be able to suspend your certainty. Don't go into a meeting just thinking, you got to empty your cup. You've got to get in there and see what you don't know. What do you need to take responsibility for beyond your job, your language, your professional development? How do you build up your skill set to engage in reciprocity and be an effective group member? And how do you build up your resiliency? Because people are saying people are drowning, people aren't capable of managing the disappointment, and the system can support that, but it's also it's a personal journey. So that piece is what I'm writing about, because the adults have to grow up. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that as me, as you, we all need to take time to realize we are also in the development business. And so it's not just about child development, it's about adult development. And schools should be a primary location for all individuals to be in the human learning business. And I don't know if we give that enough time. Somebody said to me, we have to decenter the adults. It's about the kids. It's about the kids. And it has to also be about the adults. And so I'm not discounting what that gentleman said today in a session that I was in. It's about, if we actually can work on ourselves a little bit, it will benefit students immeasurably.
Yeah. And, I like this idea too about this learning journey and adults needing to grow up, because a lot of times I hear in my workshops about this idea of, well, we expect that of our students. Why can't we expect it of each other? Right. So, I mean,
so does everybody know? I always said I have a credential in how to teach my students. I don't have a credential in how to talk effectively to adults. It was never part of my coursework in my master's program. I can tell you how to write a 5-paragraph essay. I can tell you how to do some assessments. I can do classroom management. But what if I need to have a hard conversation? What if I need to apologize? How do I advocate and inquire? And there are people who do extraordinary work on that specific piece, or there are great books on self-care. And it's like everything. So it's this idea of how do we create, and that's what this book is doing, sort of continuums and self-assessments and exercises that an individual or a school can do to really build up a person's bandwidth to be able to contribute more effectively in school.
All right. One last question for you, completely off script, only because it's really interesting to me. And I just want to sell and get people to drink as much of the virtual learning Kool-Aid as possible. But when it comes to professional development, do you think we can do what we do just as effectively virtually as we would face-to-face?
The jury is out for me, and it is the only way currently that I can work. We are now on purple tier here in my county. We've gone backwards in terms of our COVID kind of whatever. We're staying at home. Let's just put it that way. Do I think it's as effective? I would love to be with you. I would love to be face to face. I love the energy. And I have, in some ways, through my discovery of working in breakout rooms and with people from all over the world, just really grown through Zoom experiences. So I think it's a possibility, and it certainly has been for me. Between that and losing 10 pounds because I'm working out on Zoom and I'm at home eating better, and I think Zoom has been really effective in many, many ways. So I think it's possible to connect with me and you on Zoom.
Thank you again for enduring my experiments in social media marketing and doing another live. You know, I look forward to in the spring being able to introduce, you know, hopefully a course around this book topic.
Yes.
When can we expect the book out?
The book, well, I was talking to my editor today. She was like, it would be pushing it to do mid-January. She's now thinking Feb 1. So it's going to be Feb 1. That I think is for sure. The second draft is out. I'm getting the permissions. I'm doing the videos. It'll be an ebook. And so I think it'll be there.
March, April, May, we could potentially do a book study.
Absolutely do a book study by then.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Right. I look forward to that. I look forward to seeing you December when you close out our Leading Effective Teams for Aspiring Leaders workshop, where we're going to be talking about having these types of conversations.
Right, hard conversations.
Awesome. So I'll see you December 1st. Thank you again, Jennifer.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.